If you're a fellow ADHDer, you might often feel like you're bending over backward for your partner, only to feel like you're never quite meeting their expectations. And this isn't uncommon. A lot of us ADHDers feel like human doormats, constantly prioritizing others' needs over our own. So in this video, I'm going to break down why us ADHDers can often become human doormats, how it happens, and what you can do about it. So imagine this scenario. Your partner asks you to run an errand, even though you're buried with work, and you say yes, even though you're overwhelmed. This is a clear example of ADHD-related people-pleasing. So why as ADHDers can we fall into this habit of becoming a doormat? By saying yes to everything, by people-pleasing all the time. So this behavior is closely tied to rejection-sensitive dysphoria, which is part of ADHD. So for those who don't know, rejection sensitivity, I've actually done a deep dive video, which I'll link to above and in the description down below, but it's all about the fear of being rejected, the fear of being criticized. And oftentimes, when it comes to people-pleasing, we can be so scared that people are gonna get upset with us or people are gonna reject us because we say no, that we end up saying yes. And this is what leads to exhaustion. And it's crucial to know that this sensitivity can drive you to overcommit to people and neglect your own needs as an ADHD. What can happen in this cycle is we don't want to feel rejected. So when people come up to us and ask us for stuff, we are very likely to say yes. Yes, I'll do it. Yes, I'll take on that task. Yes, I'll do that job, boss. Yes, I'll do that extra task, partner. And when we say yes a lot, then oftentimes we can take on too much. We can say yes too much. This is where things can start to get a little bit shaky for us. Because then we start to feel overwhelmed. We say yes to everything and we start to feel overwhelmed. And this impacts our self-esteem because we feel overwhelmed and we feel like we're failing, but we still feel like we have to do those tasks. We start to feel bad about ourselves. We start to feel like a failure, which means that we feel like we need more reassurance. Because we feel worse about ourselves, it means that we want to feel accepted more, which means that the idea of rejection or criticism feels even worse to us. This is a very toxic cycle that we can get in with ourselves. And being stuck in this cycle means that you're trying to balance being a supportive partner alongside taking care of yourself. So what happens when you keep saying yes? What happens when you agree to be a human doormat? You know, a lot of people don't really speak about this, but I want to talk about the hidden costs of people pleasing for us ADHDers. The first huge cost is exhaustion. When you're constantly putting others first, you're depleting yourself. Imagine trying to drive a car with an empty gas tank. Eventually, it's going to break down. And this exhaustion isn't just physical, it's also emotional and mental too. You know, as ADHDers, we have a limited supply of dopamine, which is the reward center chemical. And when we do things for other people, we expend all of that dopamine and energy trying to make other people happy. And this can often leave very little for ourselves. So then we put our own needs aside and we don't achieve the things that we want to achieve. We don't do the things that we need to do for ourselves. And then in relationships, that often leads on to resentment. So if you've ever felt frustrated after doing everything for someone only to feel completely unappreciated, this resentment can quietly build up and erodes your relationships from the inside out. So for example, you might start feeling angry towards your partner, even if they've never asked for all your extra effort. But people-pleasing also has an impact on our self-esteem as well. So every time we put others' needs ahead of our own, we're sending a message that we are less important. We're sending that message to our partner. We're also sending that message to ourselves as well. And this is wiring our brain over time to start becoming a yes man. So over time, this can chip away at our self-worth and makes us feel like our value is only tied to what we do for others. And there is a psychological concept here which is called enmeshment. And this occurs when we lose our sense of self within relationships. So this is where we focus more on what we do for others than who we actually are as a person. So in this scenario, if you're a fellow ADHDer, take a moment to reflect. Do you often feel drained after social interactions? Do you constantly feel like you're doing more for your partner than you are doing for yourself? Do you agree to things that you don't really want to do? If you've answered yes to these, you might be caught in this people-pleasing trap. And you know, I get it. Pleasing people can seem helpful and the right thing to do, but they can actually harm both you and your relationship by preventing genuine connections. So breaking free from this people-pleasing cycle might seem a little bit daunting, especially as fellow ADHDers, but it is possible. There are some practical strategies to get started in breaking out of this loop and getting to a more balanced place within your relationship. So just before I move forward, if you do want more videos like this on relationships, communication, and even ADHD, then feel free to subscribe to my channel for new videos every single week. So the first step is developing self-awareness. So this seems like a big, broad concept right now, but think of this simply as turning on the lights in a dark room. Suddenly you can start to see what's really going on. So developing this self-awareness means to start looking at the balance of what you do for yourself versus what you do for other people. It's not about going the opposite direction and becoming really selfish. It's actually looking at what you can reasonably take on and starting to reprioritize what is important in order for you to do all of the things that you want to do for the day. And that includes doing things for your partner, but being realistic about this. And this all starts with developing self-awareness. Start looking at the tasks that you take on, the tasks that you fail. Start listening to your partner when they're pointing out things that you promised to do but didn't do for them. All of these start to build up and can start to give you a bit of a visual map on where some of your blind spots are. And this is what we mean by developing self-awareness. Next up, it's important to learn assertiveness. And this can be like learning a new language. This is the language of kind of setting standards around. So this isn't about setting a hard boundary of, I will always do this or I'll never do this. This is about being able to say, hey, I don't know whether I can actually do this within this time frame. I don't know whether this is something that I feel comfortable doing. I don't know whether I have time to do this. This is simply being assertive with your needs and pointing out that you have needs and wants too, and being able to figure out the best way to navigate a win-win scenario that helps both you and your partner. You know, a lot of people fall into the trap of being too aggressive with what they want or being passive about what they want. But assertiveness is the middle ground. It's about being strong in what you need and what you want, but being able to be flexible in how you get there. So it's not about creating demands or ultimatums. It's also not about saying yes to everything. It's about finding the middle ground where you're able to negotiate the win-win with your partner. And this involves developing the tools and communication skills and frameworks that you're able to navigate and come to a good solution that both you and your partner agree on. And these communication tools are really crucial in navigating all of the emotional and logical discords within a relationship. It stops you from becoming a people pleaser and actually being able to stand up for yourself without being aggressive with it. You know, being able to navigate conversations in such a way that you're able to put your opinions and ideas and thoughts and feelings and needs in the conversation without sounding aggressive or demanding. You know, it takes practice. It also involves emotional regulation and being able to be aware, developing that self-awareness of your emotions whilst you're having these conversations. And like I said, this is what I do with my ultra normal members. And if you do want to join us, then join me on my free relationship bootcamp, where you'll learn the same tools and skills that all of my successful ultra normal members have used to start turning their relationship around today, including with ADHD. Simply click on the link in the description to grab your spot today. So, you know, when it comes to communication, role-playing exercises can be really helpful. Being able to practice and start learning how to be assertive without being aggressive or demanding. You know, find a friend or family member and start practicing these conversations in order to be able to navigate these conversations. And this is going to feel really awkward at first, but this is an essential skill. So much of relationships are about communication skills and emotional regulation skills too. Next, it's important to identify your core needs. So understanding what is truly important to you helps to manage your ability to say yes or no. So when you're clear on what you need versus what you want, you're less likely to say yes to everything. So for example, in your relationship, think about a recent event where you said yes when you wanted to say no. Now imagine how it would have felt if you'd prioritized your own needs. This is a really powerful tool for building assertiveness. And embrace healthy selfishness. To recognize that your needs are just as important as everyone else's. You know, we can often get caught up in this idea of being selfish, but being healthily selfish means prioritizing your well-being without any guilt. You know, think of it like putting on your own oxygen mask before helping others. You need to take care of yourself to be fully present in your relationships. You need to put yourself first, but that doesn't mean cutting other people out. That just means putting yourself first in order to be able to show up best for your partner. And this people-pleasing can be a root cause for a lot of the problems in ADHD relationships. You know, think about how much changes if you could start to consistently apply these strategies. You're no longer exhausted from trying to please everyone. You're no longer burnt out. Your relationships are more balanced because you're showing up as your authentic self, but also in the way that also benefits your partner. And this shift is what a lot of my members have gone through in their relationships. But it all comes with practice and persistence and the right tools in order to make sure that you get there. But this is also about finding balance. You know, a lot of us ADHDers, we go so far in the opposite direction of people-pleasing, we fall for what we call the lone wolf illusion, which is this idea that we don't need anyone and that we should be completely selfish. And this is one of the major pitfalls when it comes to trying to be assertive within an ADHD relationship. So I've actually done a deeper dive video on the lone wolf illusion. So I'll leave you with that deep dive video and I will see you over there.